Sadhguru Cheppalani Undi కార్యక్రమానికి స్వాగతం. So we have received some questions from the youth.
Okay.
First I start with those questions, Sadhguru. Bharat has been a nation where so many indoor games were created. What impact did these games have on our culture? How did our culture impact the kind of games we have? As a digital game designer, what can I do to keep this tradition going?
So many indoor games in India evolved. This means the society was prosperous and well-to-do, so there was leisure time. If people were always fighting for survival, they wouldn't have come up with games. The traditional games, whatever we created, today chess has become an international thing. They have taken this, they're calling this snake and ladder, which we used to have. All these things had some relationship to life. This is Indian way of doing things. It may be a simple game, but we don't want to miss that opportunity to make some point with our life. Probably a digital game means maybe you can create a Kurukshetra game. You know, there are Chakravyuhas, this, that. This is one beautiful thing about India. All Indian knowledge has no IP. Whether it's yoga or wisdom or anything else, tradition, Ramayana, Mahabharata has no IP, so you can use it. But you also use it in such a way it's beneficial to people. You can also earn something out of it, that's not a point. There are three things which should never be commercialized: education, health and spirituality. These three things were always offered, at least on a cost basis.
How these three things go together, Sadhguru?
No, because these three things determine the nature of the society. Education must be offered to those who are deserving, spiritual process should be offered those who are longing, health for those who are ill. There's no option about it. So, you have money, so I will teach you education, otherwise I don't teach you education. Because you have money, I will offer spiritual process to you, otherwise I will not offer. This is not going to work. Once these three things becomes commercialized, that society, the ancient wisdom always said that society is a downtrend society. But in imitation of Western cultures and of course market economy, we've all gone this way. But if that kind of thing needs to happen, we must have a very strong sense of philanthropy in the society. Otherwise, how do you run a hospital, how do you run a school, how do you run even an ashram without contributions?
The education and health goes into the hands of corporates. They are thriving for the money, they are teaching only for the marks.
But what we need to understand is today, the way we are practicing medicine has become so investment sensitive. Without huge investments, you can't create an efficient hospital because we have taken to allopathic system of medicine for small things and big things. Because of that, it's become super expensive. As you know, in United States of America, a rich country like that, one thing it is struggling with is they're not able to pay the healthcare costs. Richest nation on the planet, they're able to have the strongest military, industry, business, everything, but they can't pay for healthcare because it's crossed $3 trillion. They're saying by 2030, America's healthcare bill could be somewhere between $7 to $8 trillion. Even 3 trillion is larger than our economy. What is an economy for 1.3 billion people is healthcare for 300 million people. So this shows the system of healthcare that we have taken to is inevitably expensive. When it's expensive, of course they're going to charge. So it is very important that we bring back healthcare systems for normal day-to-day problems of flus and this and that. We can deal with it with simple processes, our grandmothers were dealing with it. Only some serious issues come where surgeries are needed, something else is needed, their allopathy should come. As a part of this, now we are bringing up clinics which are integrated clinics with Ayurveda, Siddha, Yoga, Unani and allopathic system of diagnostics and others, we have set up health solutions like this. Because our commitment is to health, not to any particular system. This needs to happen across the country. Many hospitals and hospital chains are also looking at this, but not enough has happened. If you bank on only allopathic system, we will go towards like America's healthcare bill, which we cannot afford.
మనిషి హెల్దీగా ఉండాలంటే, ఆరోగ్యంగా ఉండాలంటే ఏం చేయాలో సింపుల్గా.
నేను ఉండాను కదండి, హాస్పిటల్కి పోలేదే. యోగా చేయాలండి.
ఓకే.
యోగా చేసేది అంటే ఊరికే చేయిలు కాళ్ళు ఇట్లు పెట్టుకునేది కాదు. The word yoga means union. That means consciously you obliterated the boundaries of your individuality. That is, when you breathe life. You don't just breathe oxygen. When you live and reverberate with the cosmos. You don't just live here as one scared little individual full of stress and tension and nonsense. You reverberate with the rest of the cosmos. So if you're like this, you don't have to worry about any kind of health issues and stuff. That's what I was telling people, Sadhguru, you're not going for any medical test, what will happen to you? I said, every year I climb, I am in the Himalayas, in the mountains, up to 18,000–19,000 feet we are going up. I said, that is my stress test. If I fail, you don't even have to carry me back, I'm done there. So, that day I fail, it is done, don't worry about that. I don't want to die on a treadmill. Dying in Himalaya is better for me.
In college, some people are very social and friendly with everyone. And some have just a few close friends that they always hang out with, which is better.
People who need emotional security, they'll hang around with just a few people because it's safe and above all, it's emotionally supportive. Suppose you don't need that emotional support, you are joyful and fine by yourself, then you can be friends with everybody. I am friends with everybody because I am not seeking emotional support in friendship. Usually one person is best because all your nonsense passes through one person. If you expose your nonsense to 100 people, then you will be in a mess. There's only one thing, how profound, beautiful and intense is your experience of life. So if that is not happening, you're spending life in fear, resentment and anger and stress, simply means that you have not equipped yourself for life.
You just tell me what is real happiness is. Because సంతోషం అంటే ఏమిటి? ఇంకా చాలా మంది సంతోషం అంటే డబ్బుల నుంచి వస్తుంది, ఇంకా దేని నుంచి వస్తుంది? నేమ్, ఫేమ్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్.
సంతోషం చాలా మీకు, ఆనందం కావాలా?
సంతోషం, శాంతి, ఆనందం, ఆరోగ్యం.
I'm saying if you're blissed out, why will you think about happiness and peace? What is real happiness or what is real blissfulness? There are more profound ways of looking at it. Simple way of looking at it is, human experience has chemical basis to it. This is a complex chemical soup. If we give the soup-making ingredients to all these people, 25 people, you give them the same soup-making ingredients, do you think they'll produce the same soup? No, 25 varieties they will produce. That's all that's happened. All of us same fundamental ingredients. See in how many different ways we've become. But if you knew how to make a good soup, for sure you would make a blissful soup, isn't it?
For 2,600 years back, Gautam Buddha said, the lust and desires are the cause of sorrows. If you conquer them, you will be relieved from the sorrow. కోరిక దుఃఖానికి మూలము అన్నాడు బుద్ధుడు. But today's world, if there is no desire, there is no production of health. So how do we compare these both statements?
See, what is being referred to as lust is a different aspect. It is a physiological and a chemical process. So we will leave that aside, because that's a physiological function. Desire is a psychological process. Desire simply means you generated a thought and you invested your emotion and your life into it and it became a big thing. After all, it's generated by you. Your desire is created by you, isn't it? So now if you have a desire that I want to give up all desires, you will always have an unfulfilled desire. So the source of your misery is not desire, the source of your misery is unfulfilled desire.
Yes.
So Gautama could not have said such a thing. And if he had given up desire, 40 years of his enlightened life, would he go on incessantly from village to village, town to town, wanting to spread this? If he had no desire, he would have just sat in one place, isn't it? Obviously he had a desire. The question is only, is it a conscious desire or is it a compulsive desire? Are you consciously generating your thought and emotion, or are you a victim of your own thought and emotion? Why would you become a victim of your own thought and emotion? Simply because you have not figured out the simple mechanics of your mind.
But he has suggested some Ashtanga Marga to conquer the desire.
As you said, it's 2,600 years ago. See, I'm speaking and your cameras are rolling. Even after 2,600 years, if somebody says, Sadhguru said, give up your desire, they will play the tape. That's not what he said. But unfortunately, Gautama did not have such a backup, technological backup. Somebody writes, somebody rewrites, somebody re-rewrites, and somebody interprets and misinterprets and endlessly go on. They said Gautama said, give up your desire. They said Krishna said, don't have any attachment, be detached rather. Look at Gautama's life. He has a very strong desire that what has happened to him must happen to everybody. That's what is firing him. That's what is keeping me going. A strong desire, very, very strong desire. Otherwise, 7 days of the week, 365 days, you wouldn't be active. Look at Krishna's life. Is he detached? Is he detached? He's involved. He's involved with everything, all kinds of things. From the way he dresses, when he is a child, he's talking about it, how his clothes should be, and he likes a peacock in his turban or in his head. So he's involved. He is not a person who will teach you detachment. Misinterpretations happen.
Sadhguru, often you are speaking on our education system actually. We are following same system which was adopted with the British, that Macaulay education system. Most of them said that this education system is creating slaves rather than creating creators. How do you see that?
It is definitely so, but it's slowly changing. It's very difficult to change education system in a country like this, even if you desire to change. When there are millions and millions of children in schools and colleges, maybe I may be wrong on the numbers, but I think from kindergarten, let's say to the master's degree, there could be something like 250 million people.
Yes.
It's the nation's population for many major nations. So making changes and executing the changes, training the people for the changes is not easy. But we are very close to that possibility now because technology has come where we don't need a teacher. We don't need a teacher to deliver the subject. We only need a teacher to inspire and regulate the process. So now we can make teacher training into a much simpler process where they just have to love the children that they're handling and they should be able to inspire the children. Unless we go there very quickly, we won't be able to educate this population because it's too big. Now the central government has announced that whatever is the time in the school, let's say approximately about 7 hours a day there is time, only 50% of the time will be for academics. Another 50% will be for sport, in rural areas, agriculture, art, music and other kinds of things. 2 days ago, I was in a school in Mysore where I studied 45 years ago. The first time I went back, a big crowd gathered and all that stuff. I was telling them how I handled my marks cards that were given and how certain other children were suffering those marks cards and stuff. One thing that needs to happen is, if we train the teachers sufficiently, these marks cards need not go home. And 18,000 children, 18,000 children below 18 years of age have committed suicide in 2017. Over 7,000 of them are below 15 years of age. We're doing something fundamentally wrong. But I'm glad to hear that the NCERT is already working on making a curriculum which is only for 50% of the time. But still executing it is going to be challenge. In private schools, it may be much easier, but in government schools where the maximum number of children are there, it will take years to do that.
2007 నుంచి 2017 వరకు కొన్ని లక్షల మంది పిల్లలు మార్కులు రావేమో అన్న టెన్షన్తోనో మరొక రకమైన ఒత్తిడితోనో ఆత్మహత్యలు చేసుకున్నారని ఇటీవల పార్లమెంట్లో స్వయంగా కేంద్ర విద్యాశాఖ మంత్రి వెల్లడించారు. దానికి మీరేమంటారు?
But still, whatever the number, even if 10 commit suicide or 1 commits suicide, because of education system, it's not okay. Because of some other reason, somebody may commit suicide which is not in our hands to control. But we are putting them through a compulsory education system which kills them is not okay, it's not acceptable. When children start committing suicide, we must understand we are doing something fundamentally wrong in the society.
How about the farmer suicides, Swamiji?
We need to understand this. Unfortunately, only protests happen, taking up small issues. There is no comprehensive way of looking at these issues. The farmers are going through a certain change. All this process started about 200, 300 years ago, when systematically the British started breaking up the textile industry. Millions of people died. Between 1800 to 1860, the export of textiles came down by 94%. Because they said the only way you can export is through East India Company, and they taxed it 5 times, 10 times so that it's not possible to export. 94% it dropped in 60 years. And one of the governor generals in 1856 or 1857, he says, the fields of India are bleached by the bones of the hand weavers. Because over 3.5 to 4 million people are supposed to have died, we never keep account of Indians dying. At that time, everybody fell back on agriculture as the only way to earn a living. So this was not really earning a living, this is just growing food for your own family. That is one reason why holdings became so small. Of course, hereditary divisions also did that. So it was all… they were all doing subsistence. If you have 2-3 acres, you scratch the land and make some food for yourself and your family and you're living on it. So one thing that happened out of it is extreme poverty, but they were well nourished. They didn't have money for anything, but they were well nourished because they were growing their own food. But in the last 35-40 years, we are trying to move Indian agriculture from subsistence farming to what is called as commercial or cash farming. When you make transition in a society, economic transition or even social things, it must happen in a planned way quickly. When you make the change over 50-60 years and still 50-60% of the population is left behind, then that is what you're seeing right now. Shifting from subsistence to cash farming, they seem to have little more money, they have a motorcycle, they have a tractor, they have a smartphone, and they even have an internet kiosk in their village, but you will see human beings have just shrunk like this because there's no nourishment. They don't have the sense that they should go to the shop and buy vegetable, fruit, meat, fish, whatever else that is needed for their nourishment. They're just eating in South. If you give them rice, turmeric, onion and chili, Andhra తెలుసు కదా మీకు,
అవును అవును
బాగా చారులు చేసుకొని
పచ్చళ్ళు
చింత తొక్కు చేసి తినేది కదా బాగా,
అవును
ఆవకాయ వేసుకొని ఫుల్ భోజనాలు చేసుకునేది కదా.
అవును.
So stomach is full but there is no nourishment. In the north it's wheat, onion, chili, they are doing like that. They are actually eating raw onion, raw chili and wheat chapati, most of them. So there is stomach full also, there is no nourishment. There are many people who don't have stomach full, that's a different matter. But even those who got something in their stomach, there is no nourishment because they are not eating what they need to eat. A farmer is not eating what he must eat to go and do that hard work on the field. A child is not eating what he or she must eat to go sit in the class, school and be alert for 6-7 hours. By afternoon, they are falling like this. Pregnant women are not eating what they should eat to produce a healthy child. India has the maximum number of underweight children, dissipated life, underdeveloped humanity we are producing. This is a silent disaster which is unfolding in the country. We are only counting people, but they are half people. So when you're undernourished in your body, even your brain is undernourished. When you're underdeveloped in the body, even your brain is underdeveloped. So the significant investment we had in this country is, culturally we have been such an ancient culture, we have a certain intellect. This is our strength. But now that intellectual capability and development of the brain is seriously hit because of nourishment, this is one of the most deepest concerns of this nation right now. Our children are malnourished in their early age, you can't fix it later. If they're malnourished up to 4-5 years of age, after that you can't fix it. Their fundamental development is gone. You see, villagers are all like this. People think that's how villagers are. That's not how they were 25-30 years ago. If you went to a village, He was in torn, tattered clothes, but the guy was strong. Village people were always robust and strong. Today, please go and see how they are.
The sick faces.
Yes. And as if that is not enough undernourishment, to deal with it, we are selling cheap alcohol to them. So if you drink, sarai, anni rogalki sarai mandantaru.
Yeah.
అలాగైతే బాగుందండి నా తెలుగు
చాలా బాగుంది. One more question for agriculture only. Actually, for any country, land is the prosperity. Good land is there, good prosperity will have. See our land, by using so much manure and pest control, poisonous pest control methods, we are ruining the strength of our land.
In a matter of 35–40 years, we are turning the land into a desert. Turning a land into a desert means if you remove the organic content from the soil, it'll become sand. It is predicted that by 2030, 25% of the land in India will become uncultivable because it'll be too sandy to grow anything. The only way you can put it back is animal waste and trees. Please tell all your viewers and everybody, please, without animals and without leaves from the trees, we will export our land. Land will be gone, soil will be gone.
కొన్ని వేల సంవత్సరాల నుంచి ప్రజలకి ఆహారాన్ని అందిస్తున్న భూమిని సర్వనాశనం చేస్తున్నామని, చెట్ల ఆకులు, జంతువుల నుంచి వచ్చే పేడ ఇటువంటివి భూమిలో ఉన్న సారాన్ని బతికించి కొన్ని వేల సంవత్సరాలు వచ్చే జనరేషన్స్కి కూడా ఆహారాన్ని ఇవ్వాలి అంటే రైతులు కానీ, ప్రజలు కానీ, ప్రభుత్వాలు కానీ ఒక విప్లవాత్మకమైన ధోరణితో ముందు కదిలి నేలలో ఉన్న సారాన్ని కాపాడుకోవాలని సద్గురు సూచిస్తున్నారు. మొత్తం రైతాంగం దీన్ని గనక అనుసరించే పద్ధతిలో మనకి వచ్చే జనరేషన్స్ కూడా ఆహారం కొరత ఉండదని ఆయన ఉద్ఘాటిస్తున్నారు. I want to pursue photography, but my parents want me to do MBA. Should I go by their wishes as they are older and wiser? Or should I go for what I want? If so, how do I convince them?
See, you want to do what you want to do, but you want to… everybody's appreciation and approval for that. Life doesn't happen like that. If you want to do something new, photography is not a new thing, but in the parents' mind, still we have this hangover of poverty-ridden populations that we have been for many 10–15 generations. We've been extremely poor. Because of that, the parents have fear. If you don't qualify yourself for something, what will happen to you? But if you are very confident that you can not just make a living, you can become a great photographer, if you have such an eye and a mind, I think you should do it. Will everybody approve? They will not approve. But when it's successful, they will approve. You think people approved that I will become a yogi? You think everybody clapped their hand at that time? No. Today I've become well-known, they're clapping their hands. Even then I was the same guy, all right? I'm saying 30 years ago, I'm still the same person, still same capabilities, everything. But nobody clapped their hands. Now they're clapping their hands because there is success in the world. But this is the way of the world, what to do?
What is the best way to preserve age-old Sanatana Dharma culture while adopting modern technologies like social media, at the same time not getting influenced by the Western culture of alcohol, rave parties and loose relationships?
When we said Sanatan Dharma, we were not talking about a lifestyle. We were not talking about a fashion. We were not talking about what you consume and don't consume. We were talking about a dimension within you which is eternal. What belongs to the physical body is perishable. And all the laws and mores and codes of the physical body also are like that. So we had Shruti and Smruti, one thing is constantly must be changed with debate. Another one, Sanatan Dharma, cannot be changed because it's an eternal law. First, do not misunderstand the word dharma as a religion. Dharma means the law. To drive on the street, there is a dharma. I drive on the left side of the street in India, this is my dharma. But there is one dharma that we don't change, this is Sanatan Dharma. This is the eternal law. Eternal law concerns the life that we are, not the body that we are, not the mind and emotion that we are, the life that we are. The life that we are is not going through changes, it's the same life. So this is a Sanatan Dharma. These laws are all for always. So right now, if what is Sanatan Dharma, if you have to give an example, is it true all human experience comes from within? The joy or misery, it happens from within you.
Yes.
This is a Sanatan Dharma. This is not going to change in 1,000 years or 10,000 years or million years. It's not going to change. Human experience will always be caused within. It doesn't matter, you can have a computer which speaks to you, a computer which says, I love you, but human experience happens only from within. So once you know it happens only from within, a certain amount of life and time should be focused towards the inner dimension, otherwise you will never have the experience that you aspire for. I'm just taking one aspect of Sanatan Dharma. So Sanatan Dharma concerns with your life, essential life, not body, not mind, not the arrangements of life. These things keep changing. As it changes generation to generation, we have to change those dharmas. But Sanatan Dharma is undisturbed because it concerns with the life that you are. Right now, the problem with the modern society or the Western influence is they are not focused on the dharma of the life, they're only focused on the arrangements around us. Arrangements are getting better and better, but human experience is not getting better. Arrangements are better than ever before in the history of humanity, isn't it so? Our arrangements, did any generation know the kind of comforts and convenience that you and me know today? Nobody knew. But this is the most complaining generation ever you have seen. Every day they're crying about something because there is no focus on Sanatan Dharma.
Sadhguru, in olden days there are combined families. In Telugu, ummadi kutumbam. అందరూ కలిసి
అయ్యో ఇప్పుడు ఇద్దరే జతలో ఉండలేరండి మీరు సరి.
So, this is the nuclear family war. What is your message to them?
Anyway, we can't go back to the old systems, they won't work anymore because we have taken to an education system which is promotes individualism. We thought, all these uncles, aunts, they are a nuisance, so we cut them down. We thought family means me, my wife, my children, my parents, her parents, but then we thought her parents, they're not family, we cut them off first. Then it came, of course she will put pressure and say, your parents also not family. That also went off. Now just you, me and my children. But now in the Western countries it's happened, you and me, husband and wife also cannot be together. They're only in the weekends if they're together, it'll work. Full week if they're there, it's finished. So these arrangements are actually there. People take two homes, adjacent homes, they live in separate homes. Only when both of them agree, they live in either of the homes, otherwise they live separately. Married people, this is the arrangement, because they know they cannot stand the other person for 7 days of the week. So this individualism is growing and growing. Instead of becoming inclusive, we are becoming exclusive because the nature of the education is such. Because the nature of the education is purely intellectual, it's become very exclusive because this is the nature of intellect. Intellect wants to dissect everything. It will always keep on discriminating and excluding everything. We are dissecting life, removing. In the end, you will also dissect yourself and have multiple personality disorders, because within you also it will divide. So the main cause is the nature of our education is purely intellectual, not using any other dimension of intelligence.
Sadhguru, you have started this youth and truth programs all over the country. What exactly you want to achieve by conducting these kind of programs?
See, in the last 3 decades, over 30 years, thousands of people have told me, Sadhguru, if you had only come when I was 20, I would have lived a great life. You came when I am 60, what is the use? Not one or two, thousands have spoken the same words in many different ways. So I thought I will step out and meet all those people who are below 25, either directly or on the social media, whatever. What are your questions? What are your confusions? Let's handle, because when you're youth, your life energies are at their peak, but you don't have clarity and balance. So if only we can bring little more clarity and balance into their life, they could use this energy in a completely different way. Above all, balance. If there's no balance, your talents, your intelligence, everything will turn against you. It will not work for you. There is a certain genius in every human being. If this genius has to unfold, what is most important is there must be a balanced and pleasant situation within you. If you are a crisis all the time, it will not happen. So we are making this effort around the country, about 18 universities we are touching right now. We have invites from dozens of universities now to come, but we won't be able to cover that in this month. But we will cover that on the social media and other things. We will also consolidate all these questions and answers so that tomorrow it's always available for any youth, not just now, even future generations, always available in a book form, in the form of online access. We will keep this open to them. We will also take this international. After 3 to 4 months, when there is enough intention in everybody that people realize, the youth must realize that there is something I can do better than the way I'm doing right now. If that thirst comes, then we will provide tools for transformation. In a certain way, we will start doing this online. All this free of cost.
Are you going to suggest anything to the governments, either state governments or central government for this program?
Right now, the attitude of the youth is, the moment you bring in the administration or establishment, they will react and resist, thinking something is being imposed upon them. That is why it is being handled in a certain way. It's called unplug with Sadhguru. Ask whatever you want, it doesn't matter, it's nice, not nice, it doesn't matter. You ask whatever is genuine for you, you ask that question, there's no problem. Involving the government or bringing any administration into it will naturally take off that spontaneity of what it is.
మన దేశం చైనాను ఒకసారి కంపేర్ చేసుకుంటే చైనాలో 135 కోట్ల మంది జనం ఉన్నారు, మన దేశంలో కూడా 130 కోట్ల మంది జనం ఉన్నారు. బట్ అభివృద్ధి విషయంగా తీసుకుంటే మనకి వాళ్ళకి పోలికే లేదు. చాలా రంగాల్లో వాళ్ళు ముందున్నారు, మనం వెనకబట్టడానికి కారణం ఏంటి?
They are doing lot of activity that is good for their nation. We are doing lot of activism all the time. We think by protesting against something, we'll create something. Yes, somewhere something may be needed, but I think we have democracy, we are very proud of that. They have prosperity, they are proud of that.
So democracy and prosperity are going together?
No, that's not true. We are also on the threshold of prosperity right now. It's not that we are too far behind them, we will get there. We're pretty far behind them, but we will do things. But you cannot do things at their pace, because for everything you have to convince all kinds of people. People who have no clue what they're talking about. You have to convince them also to take simple steps. So it takes a lot of time and energy, and leadership has to do circus on a daily basis. I'm saying, you elect whoever you want. Once you elect them, give them 5 years to manifest something. If they're doing something totally wrong, yes, you criticize, you protest, you do whatever. All of us, whatever we're doing, whatever is your profession, you're a student, you bloody study well. You're a journalist, please do that well. Somebody's an engineer, do that well. Everybody, whatever responsibilities we have taken in our life, we have to do it really well if the nation has to move forward. If you go sit in the local tea shop, they will be… right now they're all discussing how Virat Kohli's batting technique is not good, the tea shop owner, okay? And he's also saying how the Prime Minister does not know how to run the nation. All this he knows, but he doesn't know how to make good tea. This is the only problem he has. I'm saying, you're making tea, please make wonderful tea. You're doing journalism, please do wonderful journalism. This is how a country will progress. Everybody wants to talk about how the Prime Minister should be without doing our jobs properly. What is the point of this? We will be a talking nation, not a doing nation.
Sadhguru, a lot of atrocities, disparity is going against the women in the country. Very heart-burning news are coming into the day, in and out in the newspapers and TV channels. And how to educate the male, at least male population.
I know all of us have heard certain terrible, absolutely disastrous things happening. But the real problem is this, that right now people are in that mode. If anybody is little weaker than them, whether it's a man, woman or child or animal, they will exploit it. If it's a man, you will dominate him, you will beat him and you will make him do things that you want. But if it's a woman, she gets sexually exploited. This needs education, this needs overall evolution of the society, and this needs more stringent enforcement of law. In all this, we are weak. I think we are trying to make it the culture of the nation. A whole lot of nations, people are beginning to believe India is a rape capital, which is not the truth. For 1.3 billion people, unfortunately, we have too many rapes, probably we have the highest… I do not know the statistics. We may have the highest number of rapes. But for percentages of population, countries, advanced countries like United States have a much higher percentage than India. I'm not saying what is happening here is okay, because immediately activists will interpret that way, oh, Sadhguru is saying Indian rapes are okay because Americans are also raping. That's not the point. I'm saying with such a very efficient law enforcement out there, it's still happening. With so much freedom of sexuality, premarital sex, very early high school level of sex, everything happening, in spite of that it is happening there also. Here, there is not much premarital sex. Marriages which were at 16, 17, now they've gone to 25, 30. And there is no law enforcement. If you scream, a policeman won't come tomorrow morning. Even tomorrow morning he won't come. He will come after media reports and many things happen because there is no infrastructure like that. Average time in which an American police car comes is, in anywhere in the country, is 3 minutes and 20 seconds. An armed policeman, 2 policemen armed, not just with a handgun. If you open the boot of the car, there will be a shotgun, there will be 2 rifles. So he can control a crowd of 50 people, 100 people or whatever. Our policeman comes on a bicycle with a lathi. So naturally he stays back, he will not enforce. I'm saying there's no infrastructure. First of all, the population we have and the number of policemen we have is not there. It's a social thing, socially they're managing these things. So they have their own way, different parts of the country manage these things in their own way. Only now, because of cell phones and cameras, a whole lot of things are being reported. Otherwise, these things just happen quietly and it just dies down there. Particularly when it concerns with women, this has to change. I think education is a key factor. So, a whole lot of men have grown up in a situation where they do not know how to handle the proximity of the opposite gender. How to sit with her without looking at her sexually has still not gotten into a whole lot of people because there is no… they're not used to a woman sitting close to them. These are problems which are there in the country which must be addressed.
One question from a woman, age of 24 years. I am a 24-year-old woman. I found many things interesting all at the same time and do not know how I should select the work I would love to do for the rest of my life. How do I find my calling?
It's not just for her, for everybody, I would say. You're not talking about work, you're talking about what do you want to invest this life into? Are you a precious life? I'm sure your life is very precious for you. If this is a precious life, what should I invest this life into? Today, if I invest my life into this, after 30 or 50 years, will I still find this fulfilling? Is something that everybody has to examine. For this, you must move away from your family, your peers, your friends and others, cut off your phone, not be influenced by your teachers or family or friends or whatever, just withdraw someplace where you're well supported. At least 3 to 10 days you spend, depending on the level of your confusion. When you're peaceful and happy, what you think you really want to do, you must invest your life in that and after that you shouldn't keep turning back and looking every other day. Every day if you start thinking what is the best thing to do, there is no best thing to do in life. If you put everything that you have, your heart and your mind and everything into what you're doing, it's a wonderful thing to do. Is it the best thing? No.
Sadhguru, I have been suffering from panic attacks. How do I rise above and come out this?
You want… in a tree, you want to handle one leaf. If you don't like the tree, you must cut the root, not one leaf if you remove, the tree will burst out with more leaves. If one branch if you remove, it'll burst out with more branches. If you don't like the tree, you must remove the tree. So the source of this is you have panic, you have stress, you have fear, you have whatever. Essentially, your mind is not taking instructions from you. So for that there is an entire science called yoga.
So how will be your yoga is different from the other forms of yoga?
There are no difference of yoga, it is just that when Adiyogi gave the yogic science, he gave it in 112 formats. He said this 112 is good enough to cover the whole humanity. I don't teach any particular aspect because I'm not attached to any particular type of yoga. I look at the people who are sitting in front of me right now, I will teach the yoga that they need, not the yoga that I like.
उतरे मुझ में आदि योगी, उतरे मुझ में आदि योगी।
What is the difference between meditation and physical yoga?
Well, physical yoga is preparatory in nature. The word meditation doesn't mean anything. Let us say if you… in case we assume that you're referring to dhyana, that means if you sit here, your body is here, your mind is there, what is you is somewhere else. That means there's a distinct experience where there is a space between you and your body, between you and your mind. If this space arises within you, you will know how to conduct your body and how to conduct your mind, which will give you enormous sense of freedom, because your body and your mind will not rule you. Your body and your mind will become instruments of facilitation in your life, not a problem. Because right now most people, what they're suffering is their own mind and body. They're not suffering anything else. They're suffering their own thought, their own emotion, their own physical body in so many different ways. If these are taken away, life will unfold, human genius will unfold, the full potential of what it means to be human becomes a living possibility.
What is the progress of Valley of Rivers?
Valley for Rivers has gone very well and going very well. We have a very prominent board right now with a Supreme Court judge, the CEO of World Wildlife Fund, and the father of farmer-producer movement, and the foremost water expert in the country, and some corporate people, and we have the ex-chairperson of ISRO, the Space Research Organization, and Niti Aayog has sent a notification to all the states that Rally for Rivers is something that all of them must implement. So we have given the document to all the states and we have signed MOUs with over 7 or 8 states now. We are unfolding a major project in Maharashtra, in Yavatmal. As you know, it is the epicenter of farmer suicides and it is around river Vagari. We have taken up this challenge. In the next 2 or maximum 3 years, we will ensure that in Yavatmal there's not a single suicide. It's very much doable by changing the economic situation there. People committing suicide for their own emotional and other reasons is different. But people… farmers committing suicide, unable to handle their own economic situation, we will definitely change in the next 2 to 3 years' time. We have a detailed project report which has been approved by the government in its own. We are planting over 25 crore trees in Kaveri catchment in Karnataka. 10 crore trees per year has been approved in the Ganga basin, which the government is doing. We also may participate in that, let us see. Many other states have taken up crores of trees. Telangana has taken up 90 crore trees. It's a record on the planet. All these things are wonderful. Many states are doing them by themselves. With some we are consulting, with some we are physically active on the ground. More than anything, government has allotted huge budgets now in the budget for these activities to change the farmer's situation. One important thing in this direction is, this year government has allotted 5,000 crores for the 1 year for micro-irrigation. Because 84% of the water is consumed by agriculture, because we are doing agriculture like 1,000 years ago. It is not a productive agriculture and waste of water, and also the amount of crop that should come is not coming. So shifting to micro-irrigation and creating scale. For this, there is FPO movement or the farmer-producer organization movement. There was a little bit of a impediment. As an individual farmer, whatever you earn, there's no tax. But if 10 farmers get together, form a like a FPO and not cooperative, Farmers producer organization is significantly different from cooperative.
Okay.
Because only farmers can run it, nobody else can run it. So, if they get together, then there's 30% tax. So, we wrote to the government and immediately they changed it. Now FPOs don't have taxes, which is a big step. Only then we can create scale for micro irrigation and for marketing purposes. That process is going on. Over 3,200 or 300 FPOs got registered now. They're all gearing up to active. We have a FPO with about 1,200 to 1,300 farmers, which is working very well. Their incomes have multiplied in just 2 years' time. Like this, many things are happening, but this is a large country. Nothing is happening fast enough.
The final question, Sadhguru. దేశంలో 60% మంది యువత ఉన్నారు సద్గురు. వీరికి మీరు ఇచ్చే సందేశం ఏమిటి?
For everybody, the message is same. If you want to do something well, the most important thing is, first of all, to enhance this life. If you don't upgrade this life, you try to upgrade your activity, you will go crazy with stress. So the most important thing, especially when you're young, what you need to do is, you must invest a certain amount of time to upgrade this one.
థ్యాంక్ యూ స్వామీజీ. మా వీక్షకుల తరపున ధన్యవాదాలు.
Namaskar.